God. Holy shit.
Here.
Somebody got
Yeah.
And as Chud the Builder is facing attempted murder charges.
Investigators say a fight outside the Montgomery County courthouse this week led to gunfire.
Yo, let's just get this retard.
Oh, yeah, we're good now.
I'm right here. Why would I walk in the street? Look at him chimping out.
So we have a popular live streamer named Chud the Builder who recently fired upon somebody right outside of a courthouse who is facing life pretty much in prison. He is a famous, what some people will call race baiter or rage baiter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to break down a little bit of his background, what he does online, and it might upset you, so fair warning. And I'm going to let you know what is probably going to happen while he's in jail and if he goes to prison, because I know exactly what's going to happen to him. And I'm going to break down the law. All right. I'm going to break down the law out of the state that all this happening, so you can decide if this man should go to prison. Stay tuned. Fugitive TV. Welcome to Fugitive TV. I am your host, Ray Marcel. And what we do here is we take a look at cases. I do a lot of cases on missing people. I do true crime cases. And I also do cases on where it needs a different sort of spotlight or a deep dive. Now, I was once a fugitive on the run from the law myself. I actually ran for 15 years, lived in different countries under different names. Eventually, I turned myself in. So I have a unique perspective on some of these cases, so I can give you a perspective coming from a fugitive, because I once was one, that some of these people can't give you one, or what it's like to be locked up or charged going to court, because I seen it all right? Well, we're talking about Chud the Builder, okay? Chud the Builder, I'm sorry, not Chad, Chud the Builder, okay? Chud the Builder is a popular streamer, all right? Now, to be honest with you, I never followed the man too much. I'm not really into watching this stuff that he does. He does what is called shock, all right? Shock TV. Now it's pretty much shock streaming, shock value, okay? For you guys that don't know what shock value is, shock TV is pretty much when you're saying something or you do something that will shock your audience to make them go, oh my God, I can't believe he said that. Or, oh my God, I can't believe he did that. That's not right. That's mean. Pretty much this is what this guy thrives on, okay? I don't know if this is a character he plays or if this is how he really feels. These things I don't know because I personally don't know him. But what he does online is very offensive. So I will give you a fair warning. Now, YouTube, I am nowhere near at all, you know, racist or anything like that. I mean, look at me. So I'm nowhere near racist, right? But I have to give you guys a fair warning and YouTube a fair warning because YouTube likes to be overprotective on a lot of things. What I'm doing is simply adding value to what's going on, to the court procedures, to this case, okay? And giving the audience a fair look at who this individual is, his background, and what he stood for on the live streaming platform, and probably what you should not do in life, okay? Because I don't think anybody should be doing this because you could end up in this guy's situation. Well, Chud the Builder. Chud the Builder's real name is Dalton Etherly, okay? Now, Chud the Builder, apparently he got this name because he used to own a contract business. So like, you know, you have a contract business, so helping build houses, you know, things like that, what contractors do, right? Well, apparently he ended up losing some of his contracts because of his mouth, because of the things he would say online. And this guy would say some things online that will tick you off.
If I see him I swear to God, I'm gonna probably have to open. If I see him pull up on us again, it's gonna be over with.
Well, what'd you say?
We can say whatever we want.
Well, I can say whatever I want.
Exactly.
What is it?
We can say if we want.
Well, I'm going to tell you something. I don't agree with that.
Oh, these boomers.
I got blacks in my family.
It's okay.
So
Blacks.
fuck you, man.
No, or what? Fuck you, lover. You heard me.
Now, Chud was recently going to court over a creditor. I guess he owed a credit card company some money, and going to court. And I'm going to read to you guys an article. For you guys that know my channel, you guys know I always read a couple articles, okay, to give you the full details. And I read a couple because one will have more details than the other. So just to give you a gist of it, he was going to court, and I don't know if he actually made it into court or made it out of court, but ended up getting into a scuffle with a guy. This guy he got into a scuffle was a black man, okay? And in case you don't know, Chud is a white man, obviously, right? So he got into a scuffle with this black man. And then apparently or allegedly, he was race baiting him, using his famous term that he always used, chimp out, things like that. These are terms that he uses all the time to pretty much uses it in a racial profiling, or to get your temperature boiling, to make you mad, okay? So if he called you the N-word and you got mad, he would say that you are seeing out, chimping out, whatever it is. That's what he would say, right? Pretty much calling, chimps. Well, apparently this is what he was doing with this guy, except this guy wasn't backing down. This guy approached him head on and I guess started fighting him. I guess allegedly this guy hit him first, okay? So he hit him first. They started fighting, and then Chud the Builder, real name Dalton, pulled out a weapon and started firing. Now while he's firing, he hits him, but also hits himself, okay? Hits himself. So now he is in jail facing attempted unaliving. YouTube, we can't say the M word on a smaller channel like mine, or they'll flag the channel or they'll flag the video and it won't get spread out to the masses. So I have to say these words. Until then, please like and subscribe. Let's get me to 30,000 followers by the end of the summer, and let's get to a lot of followers so I can eventually start taking these filters off and say what I want to say with certain things, all right? But so he fired upon the guy, hit him, and then accidentally hit himself, okay? So now Chud is sitting in jail facing charges, and we're going to go over these charges. And we're also going to go over, because Tennessee, okay, this all happened in Tennessee, does have a stand your ground law, just like here in Florida. But we're going to go over the actual law to see if he was standing his ground, for one, and if he can claim self-defense, because there's a lot of supporters. This man has a lot of supporters. So there's a lot of supporters out there saying that, hey, this is self-defense. He stood his ground. He should not be in jail. We're going to actually go over the law. But before we go over the law, let's read an article to figure out what's going on.
Mark and Nikel, this all unfolded outside the courthouse on Wednesday, and now investigators are working to determine what sparked it. So deputies and Clarksville police responded to Millennium Plaza around 1 o'clock yesterday after reports of shots fired. When they got there, they detained two men who they say had been fighting before things escalated. Both were taken to the hospital with shot wounds and are expected to survive. Authorities identified one of the men as 28-year-old Dalton Etherly, who goes by Chud the Builder online. He's known locally for live streaming confrontations and making racist comments in public. He's now charged with criminal attempted murder, aggravated assault, reckless endangerment, and employing a firearm during a dangerous felony.
All right, so this is from AP News. It says, man known for racially derogatory live streams charged with attempted unaliving after the Tennessee firing. It says a man who goes by Chud the Builder, who I explained how he got his name, and live streams himself saying racially mean statements to black people in public settings, was arrested and charged with attempted unaliving after a shooting outside a Tennessee courthouse on Wednesday, authorities said. Dalton Etherly, 28, and an identified man. We're going to talk about the identified man too, so we're going to get into that. The identified man were involved in a confrontation that resulted in firing. Now it says District Attorney Robert J. Nash said in a statement, but Nash wouldn't say why Etherly was at the courthouse in Clarksville. what he was doing or prompt the confrontation. Police didn't provide a race of the other man. The other man was black. However, a witness who said she saw him loaded into an ambulance described him as black. Both men were transported to the hospital for medical treatment and were stable. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said Etherly was being held at Montgomery County Jail until bond can be set at an arraignment hearing. The county sheriff's office said Etherly was also charged with employing a firearm during dangerous felony, which we're going to get into that because I had to look that up. Aggravated assault, reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon, and what the sheriff's office said. Claire Martin, who works in the attorney's office across the street from the courthouse, said Etherly is well known in Clarksville for antagonizing people to see what he can get them to do. She said he yells racist slurs at people while filming them. He's not a contributing member of society, she said, okay? Martin did not see the altercation, but saw the aftermath. The other man waved at us as he got in the ambulance, she said. So, in a video posted on the website pimp.fun on Wednesday, Etherly said he fired upon a man in self-defense after the person started hitting him. Etherly speaks with paramedics in the clip, one of whom takes notes of wounds entry and exit point. He goes, "Did I hit myself or did it graze?" Etherly had been scheduled to appear in court Wednesday morning in Clarksville, located about 50 miles northwest of Nashville, over a $3,300 debt allegedly owed to a credit company, according to Montgomery County court records. The civil case was filed in February on behalf of Midland Credit Management. Court records didn't indicate whether Etherly showed up for the status hearing. Online records list the case as open, so they don't even know. They're not saying if he showed up, in the actual courtroom or not. Etherly, a white man, live streams confrontations to social media where he can be seen and heard making racially derogatory statements to black people in public. In one video taken in the market, he says to a passing black man, "You chimping out," a reference to chimpanzees. He then uses the N-word a number of times. The black man is seen using a cell phone to record the confrontation, telling Etherly, "Don't touch me." A clerk tells Etherly he's not allowed to say the word. He responds, "America is free speech. Tell me I can't say something again. This is," he says the F word, "this is F in America." Racists in the United States and other countries historically have compared black people to monkeys or apes. So I shouldn't have to tell you guys about why he's saying chimping out. All right. Now there's one thing here with a steakhouse, which I'm going to show you the video of that, of him leaving. In addition to a credit debt case, Etherly faces a separate criminal case in which he is accused of becoming unruly at a Nashville steakhouse on Saturday, refusing to pay a nearly $400 bill. According to an affidavit in the case, the restaurant had asked him to not stream inside the business, but he did anyway. When they asked him to stop, he began yelling and screaming and started making racial statements. He was arrested and charged on Sunday with theft of services, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest, and released on $5,000 bond. His next appearance in this case was scheduled for July 17th in Davidson County Criminal Court. Now, for some of you guys that don't know, I'm going to show you the video. Matter of fact, let me show you the video now.
Oh, we're not allowed in the hotel now? Nope. Absolutely. The Omni Hotel? Correct. Is that the Omni Hotel we're not allowed
After
at?
the things that you just said.
What did I say?
All the things
But
you said. You just recorded them.
Yeah, we did.
Take care.
Y'all agree?
Go. Go get me the. Okay.
Y'all have a good day. Enjoy your meal. They kicked us out.
Tell me your name again.
Chud the Builder.
Absolutely love you.
Well, I would not eat here if I were you. Because they just kicked us out because apparently my content offends.
Leave my guests alone, sir.
I wouldn't eat there if I were you.
Leave my guests alone.
This guy knows me and just wanted to shake my hand.
Okay.
Because he respects America, unlike you, midget. Don't come here. They don't like freedom. Make sure you get it one more time. All right, let's go. I can't believe that midget thought I was going to pay for the meal after they kicked me out.
So some of these establishments, like that steakhouse you saw, they don't allow live streaming. They don't allow you to go in there and do that for one reason, because of the type of establishment Second, they don't allow it because of who might be in the establishment. So for example, if you were to walk in any high-end store, I'm talking about where purses and bags or $3,000 and up, like if you walked into Gucci, Louis Vuitton or something like that, and you tried to walk in there live streaming with your phone, some of them are not going to allow that. They're going to tell you to please turn off the record. Please don't take pictures. I went into a Dior store in Miami. When you go into Dior, as soon as you walk in, the guy tells you, please do not pull out your phone and take any pictures. For one, they don't want you taking pictures of the merchandise. And then for two, you don't know who's in there. Some people, famous celebrities, don't want to be spotted, in these places spending money, because now people who are looking at your stream can look at that and be like, oh, wow, look at that. That's Scarlett Johansson in Dior or Dior. Well, I'm about to go there right now. And they could be meaning, to do something bad to her. So they don't want you streaming in some of these places. All right. So it says, Clarksville resident Larry Quillen said he's seen videos in which Etherly carries a weapon and mace and goes around and starts things. I was just kind of like, it's a matter of time. I mean, because what he's doing is hate. It's not even freedom of speech. That's what he claims to do. The Montgomery County Sheriff's Office said one of the two men involved in Wednesday's shooting was taken to Vanderbilt Clarksville Hospital for treatment. A message left with the hospital wasn't immediately returned. The other was transported by Lifetime to Vanderbilt University Medical Center in Nashville. The Sheriff's Office said a spokesperson for the hospital, Craig Berner, said medical privacy laws prohibited the disclosure information about the victims. Let's take a look at another article just to see if it says something different, okay? Says controversial live streamer Chud the Builder was charged with attempted unaliving. Controversial live streamer Chud the Builder has been charged with attempted unaliving following an alleged physical altercation that left two people, including himself, hit outside of a Tennessee courthouse. The contractor live streamer, whose real name is Dalton Etherly, was detained after law enforcement said he and another man got into a fight on May 13th that escalated into gunfire at Montgomery County courthouse, court complex. The city is about 50 miles northwest of Nashville. All right. Then it goes on to say he's in stable condition. Let's see here. I'm going on to see if it's saying anything different. Thanks to the quick actions of our courthouse deputies, this situation was likely kept from becoming much worse. Their dedication to keeping the courthouse safe was demonstrated today. Says what happened at the courthouse. About 1:20 p.m. local time, Montgomery County Sheriff's Office deputies and Clarksville Police Department officers responded to a report of shots fired at a courthouse. Arriving officers detained two men involved in a physical altercation that escalated to gun fire. Both men were transported to hospitals to be treated for wounds. And we know what type of wounds those were. It was not immediately known if the men knew each other. Etherly, who had been at the courthouse earlier in the day for a scheduled hearing in the case filed by Midland Credit. So once again, Midland Credit is letting you know why he was there. So right here, it gives you a little more information. This is why I like to read more than one article, guys. This is why I like to read more than one article, because you get information in different ones and you can put all the information together and hopefully get the pure story. Etherly live streamed the incident. In the video, Etherly tells first responders a man was pointing and laughing at him. Etherly told first responders he approached the man, who told him to back off. That if he used racially intensive language, he would punch Etherly. So, and we're going to get into the actual law of the self-defense. So on Etherly's behalf, on what he's saying, he said that a man was pointing and laughing at him. Etherly told first responders he approached the man, who told him to back off and that if he used racially insensitive language, he would punch Etherly. So you have this man who allegedly is pointing and laughing at you. So you have two options. You can keep walking or you can approach him. Okay. Option one, if you keep walking, nothing happens. Now, if this man chooses to follow you and do something to you, now you can call the police for him harassing you. He never touched you, right? But he's provoking you. Now, if the man's pointing and laughing at you and you decide to go to him, now you're inviting the confrontation, okay? Then the man says, once Etherly gets to the man tells Chud the Builder, do not say nothing stupid, okay? Or I'm going to punch you. So he's warning Etherly, warning Chud the Builder, don't say none of that stuff. I'm going to punch you. And then also tells him to back off. Back up off me, all right? So keep all this in mind. So Etherly is charged with attempted unaliving, employing a firearm doing dangerous felony, aggravated assault, reckless endangerment with a deadly weapon, all right? So it tells you that it goes, locals upset Chud the Builder was not stopped before this all happened. Locals have been long raising an alarm about Chud the Builder and his content. Note to the sheriff's office, this wouldn't have happened if y'all had taken the public's concerns into account the first time and done something about him sooner. A post on the agency's Facebook announcing Etherly's charges, all right? So, it tells you about the steakhouse, which we already went over. So here is the individual that got into a fight with Chud the Builder. It says, update on Chud the Builder situation. Chud was at the courthouse for a debt hearing. The victim is 31-year-old Joshua Love. He's a married father and disabled veteran. Dalton Etherly has been charged, and it tells you what he's been charged with. And this is who he was outside the courthouse fighting with. All right. And that's him waving, basically saying, hey, I'm fine, I'm okay. All right, so it's time to look up some laws. We're going to look up this law so that way there is no confusion. All right, there's no excuses. Self-defense law. What if you started the fight? Okay. In Tennessee, you generally cannot claim self-defense if you are the initial aggressor. Initial aggressor who started the fight. However, you may regain the right to self-defense if you clearly withdraw from the confrontation. Communicate your intent to stop, and other person continues or escalates the violence. So the initial aggressor limitation. The law does not protect those who provoke, or start a fight. Withdraw expectation. If you start a fight, but then clearly make an effort to withdraw and the other person continues to attack, you may be able to claim self-defense. All right. Even if the other person escalates, your response must be proportionate to the threat, meaning you cannot use deadly force against a non-deadly threat. Mutual combat exception. If you voluntarily engage in a fight, square up, as in like we want the fade, you may have difficulty claiming self-defense. So just in case you need me to, I'll break it down, you know, and like we're all third graders here, just in case. You cannot provoke the situation. All right. So he literally told on himself. Chud, Dalton Etherly, whatever you want to call him, told on himself. This is why I like to read more than one article. So in an article where it gives you the statement, okay, that he told them, the officers and the paramedics, what he told them what happened, he said the guy was sitting over there pointing at him laughing. You can point and laugh all you want at somebody. That is not starting a fight. That is not being an aggressor. So then he approached the guy. Chud the Builder approached the guy. Chud the Builder took on the aggressor role. All right. So when he approached the guy, yes, the guy did say, if you say anything, I'm going to punch you in the face. But the guy also told him stand back. Stand back. Now, if Chud would have said, hey, I'm not over here to fight, I just want to know what you're laughing at. But that's not what Chud did. So Chud disobeyed what the guy said. So if the guy said, don't call me any racial things, or else I'm going to do this. Lamest terms, people. This is how you can lose in court, is really not paying attention to details. This is how the prosecutor will get you. This is how your defense team can lose, especially because you just told on yourself. That statement he just said is going to get used against him in court. Okay? Because if this is what really happened and the guy told him to back off, do not say anything or I'm going to punch you, that means that unless Chud the Builder has an IQ level of 5, he knows that, hey, a fight is about to start if I say and do the wrong thing. So instead of backing off and saying, and just walking, he ain't even got to say nothing, just back off and walk away. What happens? He says something to him, starts the race baiting thing, and then the guy takes off on him. Now he's talking about self-defense. Hold on, we're not done yet. Now, this charge right here, if he gets found guilty of this one, this is going to add extra time onto him anyway, which I'm going to tell you. This is Tennessee implying a firearm. I'm sorry, hold on, let me click on this. Employing a firearm during a dangerous felony. Like I said, I had to look this up too, because this is one I didn't know about. All right. It says in Tennessee, employing a firearm during a dangerous felony is serious, separate criminal offense. This law imposes mandatory minimum sentence, generally 3 to 10 years, that must be served consecutively after the sentence for underlying felony with no possibility of parole or probation. So basically, this charge right here cannot run concurrently. It has to run consecutively. And what that means, if you don't know, if you get charged, you get in trouble, and let's say you get charged with 10 felonies, it could be 20 felonies, it don't matter, all right? And let's say the judge says you get 10 years for each felony. Let's say you got 10 felonies, all right? You got 10 felonies, and you get 10 years for each felony, all right? If he says it is run concurrently, that means each felony is ran together, meaning you're only going to do a total of 10 years. So each felony is 10 years, but you only do a total of 10 years because that total of 10 years you do in prison will be for all of those felonies. You get what I'm trying to say? Now, if it's consecutively, once the first felony 10 years is done, now you got to do this one. Now you got to do this one. So now you're looking at 100 years. You got 10 felonies, each 10 years consecutively, you're looking at 100 years. So basically, this has to be run consecutively with a mandatory, okay, or a mandatory minimum sentence. So even if the judge gave him 3 years for this, he would have to do 3 years for this after he serves time for whatever else he gets found guilty for. That sucks. But you ask me, you should have known better. It says it is illegal to possess a firearm with intent to go armed or to actually employ a firearm during the commission, attempt, or escape from a dangerous felony. Let's read this again. It is illegal to possess a firearm with intent to go armed or to actually employ a firearm during the commission, attempt, or escape from a dangerous felony. Now, we know that's kind of confusing, all right? Now it says dangerous felonies. Specific felonies include red rum, unaliving, voluntary manslaughter, robbery, kidnapping, aggravated assault, and certain drug offenses, okay? So, because he got that attempted M charge, this is why they are charging him with this. It sounds like this is kind of just a charge to put extra on the other charge is what it sounds like. Now, the last one I'm going to read here, this is probably going to play a key role. I guarantee this is going to play a key role that nobody's even talking about. Nobody's talking about this. Tennessee, carrying a firearm to court. Under Tennessee law, it is generally illegal for any person, regardless of permit status, to carry a firearm inside a building where judicial proceedings are in progress. This is shown in code, and it gives you the code, applies to courtrooms and surrounding offices, making carrying a weapon there a Class A misdemeanor or a felony if intent is proven. So this man went to court. It didn't say he went to court. The man was pointing at him, and then Chud went to his car and came back to the man. It didn't say that at all. It said he was going to court, meaning he had the intent to carry the firearm with him on court grounds, on the surrounding property or surrounding offices, and into the building. What was he doing with the firearm in the first place on court property? So I'm interested to know the full story with that one. Okay. Did he leave court? Did he already go to court and like say he went to his car already and got out the car? Because I'm interested to find out exactly when this weapon was on him, when it took place. This actually could be a big make or break deal, because for example, if he did have the weapon on him and he was walking to court with it and intent, he's going to lose all day. They're going to say, why'd you even have a weapon in the first place? Why did you bring a weapon with intent on court property in the first place? But we don't know yet. We don't know. But what do you guys think? Now, I did read some things about Joshua Love. Some people were spreading around that he had a background record too. And back from 2024, you know, I didn't really, like I said, so much things going around, right? Here's the thing though. It don't matter what background record the man has. It didn't even matter the background record of Chud the Builder, okay? He has multiple arrests. As you see, I didn't even get into his arrest. I read you the whole restaurant thing that they keep talking about, all right? It didn't matter. What mattered in this situation was what's right and what's wrong, okay? Now, he uses the, I can say this and say that because I live in America and I have freedom of speech. Yes, we all have freedom of speech. Yes, we all have the amendment right to say whatever we want. But the problem is we have to be ready to suffer the consequences of saying whatever we want. Okay, so we always have to keep that in mind. Yes, we have the freedom of speech, but there are consequences with that freedom of speech if you do say the wrong thing, and you have to be ready and prepared for that. Now, freedom of speech, that gives you the right to go around to say what you want, but there should be a line from saying what you want to provoking what you want. Okay? As in, if you want to call somebody something and this is what you think they are, and this is what you think they are, do like everybody else, you know, do like everybody else, shut your door, go in your car, grab your steering wheel, and then say what you want to say, whatever it is, you know, or say what you want to say to them and just keep walking. Okay, you could do that too. But this man never did that. He would purposely call people stuff and say names to people, even though sometimes those people did not provoke the situation. As you saw videos I played earlier of him going to the older white gentleman, both of them took offense to that. But did he have to go up there and say that? No, that is just provoking. Okay, yes, you have freedom of speech, but that is also provoking. Think about it. I live in Florida. We have a right to walk around with weapons. Okay, anybody can walk around with a weapon. Now you can walk around with it concealed, pretty much no permit, no nothing now. Okay, here in Florida, Texas is the same way. You know, there's multiple states like this. But just because you walk around with the weapon doesn't give you the right to take that weapon and point it at people. You get what I'm saying? That weapon does not give you the right. I'm not pulling the trigger. Think about it. I'm not pulling the trigger, but you're pointing it at people. So if you're pointing that weapon at people, what's the consequence going to be? Consequence could be somebody could pull their weapon out and really pull the trigger, and now you're really shot, and now you're sitting there on the ground looking stupid like, well, I was only pointing it. Well, how is he supposed to know? That's a consequence. You're provoking this person to do something to you, and you know you're provoking it. So I know the guy has a lot of people behind his corner and things like that, because people can think what they want. They can. I don't care. Do what you want, right? It's a free world. It's a free country, whatever you want to do. But all I got to say is provoking people, that's just wrong. What should this guy get? Should he get life in prison? Should he actually get life in prison for this? I mean, the man could have died, right? But should he get life in prison? And do you think, even after I read to you these laws and broke down the laws to you, broke them all down, do you think this was really self-defense? Because that's what it's going to boil down to. Was it really self-defense? You guys let me know on the side. Please like, subscribe, turn your notification bells, all right? I am almost at 30,000 subscribers. I've reached 25,000 subscribers in the last year. I am one of the fastest growing true crime channels in this sector. Thank you so much. I owe it all to you guys. Thank you once again. Until next time, please take care of one another. Love one another. Look out at your surroundings. Watch your surroundings. Ray Marcel at Fugitive TV. Until next time, take care.